Hello, and welcome to another episode of Todd Talk. And Todd Talks, people listen by the power of Ethereum. Hopefully. I guess I don't need the power of Ethereum to make you listen because you're watching naturally. So today, first of all, yes, I am wearing a t-shirt. It's finally gotten warm enough around here to just wear a t-shirt. It feels nice. Though, of course, my pale skin is now an obstruction. I'm so sorry. Anyway, but today we are here to discuss the upcoming mid-season finale of Death Battle between Shira, Princess of Power, versus Wonder Woman, Amazon Princess. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little sad that this is a mid-season finale, and I honestly hate it when shows do mid-season finale. I hate it when it's on TV. I hate it when movies do like the two-parters and whatever. But they're trying to make sure DVX is worked in, and it's like I'm trying to give them a pass here. And hey, they have picked one heck of a season finale. I have seen this idea of a battle not just in death battle forms, but like beyond. Like there's a artist, I can never say his name, but he's done some really cool stuff across like DC and Marvel and such, and he drew a pic of a mini story of Shira and Wonder Woman working together. And even Wonder Woman was like, "Man, you're so OP," because she could heal, like she could even heal like mortal wounds and whatever. But this is gonna be interesting for sure. And this battle is certainly something, but I'm very curious to see how it actually goes because I'm sure I'm missing something here. All right, so let's get started off with Shira. Long time ago, in the land of Eternia, um, the king and queen had two children, Adam and Adora. Now, because of the king's might in battle, the forces of Skeletor, who you know, and Hordak, who is the ruler of another empire on the planet Etheria, decided that they were going to strike a more devastating blow, a more personal one. So a plot was hatched to kidnap Adam and Adora and, take them away, raise them on their own, and blah, 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 blah. Well, unfortunately, Man at Arms caught Skeletor and Hordak in the act. Skeletor got captured, but Hordak was able to run away with Adora, taking her to Etheria to raise him as his own child, more or less, and then to have her be his force commander and to help put down the vile rebellion that was trying to overthrow the peace of Etheria. So this went on for about 20 years until Prince Adam, who was then He-Man at the time, was ordered by the sorceress of Castle Grayskull to go to Etheria and find its hero and bestow upon them the sword of protection. It was during this that Adam met Adora, and after giving her the sword, it opened her eyes, showed that she was actually under mind control, and she became Shira, Princess of Power. And through her abilities, she teamed up with the rebellion to fight Hordak and the Hordes. Get it, Hordak, Horde, uh, armies, and help make Etheria the place that it needed to be. Now, there has been some questions about what is canon and what is not. I'm going to lightly touch on this. Obviously, the old '80s cartoon, which is the one they referenced in the Death Battle preview, that's on. That's canon. That's like the main canon. She-Ra Princess of Power from the Netflix series, that's technically canon. Okay, I gotta explain this. It's not unlike how there was like He-Man, then there was a reboot. They're looking at it and they're seeing if its feet line up. The respect thread that I got from my friend Black Lightning, the who was one of the main Death Battle researchers, he noted that technically they are the same at power sets. It's just different visibilities and senses and everything. And obviously, the fifth season of She-Ra Princess of Power just came out, and apparently nothing too out of the ordinary has happened there. Then there's the comics, which are a whole another level. I don't know. I honestly don't know if they're going to include them as canon because, as we've seen with Sonic, you know, Sonic has powers, or Sonic has comics via the Archie comics, but those are so like beyond anything that Sonic ever shows in the games that is that really canon? So I'm thinking we might have a situation like that here. So anyway, as Shira, she has many of the same powers as He-Man: incredible strength, durability, speed. The Sword of Protection is technically more versatile than the Sword of Power that He-Man wields because it can transform into a wide variety of objects, including lassos and helmets and parachutes for some reason, bolas and various other things. It grants her certain magical resistances, including resistance to mind control, which again was why Adora was so willing to serve Hordak for so long. it allows her to communicate with the sorceress of Castle Grayskull, as well as Light Hope. Dang 80s. And I was born in '89, so I'm exempt from that classification. But she can communicate with them in order to help get think of it like the wisdom of Solomon from Shazam. She can call upon them and say, "Hey, I need some help here. What should I do?" That kind of thing. And then it allows her to she can actually channel certain kinds of energy and even redirect it or absorb it. She actually has a rainbow magic, which is kind of weird, but hey, I'm not trying to judge. And her, not unlike what He-Man does with Cringer, she has a Swift Wind, which goes from horse to alicorn, which I'm sure will make you My Little Pony fans very, very happy. Still sorry for your loss, not really, with Twilight Sparkle. Raven forever. But so as the Princess of Power, she has defeated Hordak's minions time and time again, as well as teamed up with He-Man multiple times in order to save both Etheria and Eternia. And through this, she has had many incredible feats. You might remember during the original He-Man Lion-O death battle that He-Man pushed the moon twice. Shira's done a similar thing. She just kicked it. So He-Man pushes it, Shira kicks it. Okay. She has tanked blasts from spaceships that were meant to destroy entire areas, or in one case, actually freeze the entire Whispering Woods, which I'm sure will be calculated, potentially, possibly, hopefully. She has deflected with her sword lasers, like actual. I know there's always the questions like, is it a real laser? Yes, apparently these were real lasers, which means they were moving more than likely at light speed, and she was able to deflect it with her sword. She's even able to summon the power of Etheria to give her an even greater power boost, including forming a shield around a giant area that can't be penetrated, more or less. It's the usual thing. She wants, or if you're, again, going back to He-Man, we got to scale to He-Man here because that's another good question. Since both of their powers technically come from Castle Grayskull, since both of their swords come from the Sorceress, doesn't that mean that He-Man and Shira are technically on the same power level? That's a little more complicated. It's not unlike, is Superman and Supergirl the same power level? Technically, they're not. If you look at the comics, they're honestly not. Superman obviously has more experience, he has more training, and he has unlocked certain inhibitors that make him virtually infinite in power. You really don't see that with Supergirl. Not that she's weak, hardly, she's not. But it's not. It's kind of like that tier level. And in one case, an episode of Shira had Shira doubting He-Man's own strength, noting that there was an object in space that even she thought he couldn't reach. And then another one had them both defending against a beam, and they were really struggling with it. So clearly their power is not infinite, and it has a limit. It's just reaching that limit is very, very hard. And a lot of the times they do the impossible, including apparently Shira breaking a grappling hook that was supposed to be unbreakable. Okay. uh, yeah, it's pretty nuts. And again, this is the '80s, so nothing was off the table. They're just trying to make it all look cool. But her speed is pretty fast. She can go from the ground to space within seconds or minutes, depending on the episode. Like I said, she's outpaced lasers. She's ran so fast that she swam so fast that she created a whirlpool in a lake or something like that. It should not be physically possible because it's a lake. It doesn't have that much depth. Anyway, but her durability is very much that of He-Man. She's tanked explosions, shots from tanks, from spaceships. She has stopped various kinds of beams. She can deflect magical attacks. It's all pretty cool. Now, if there is a weakness to Shira, it is the following. Number one, obviously she's got to transform from Adora into Shira. That's very important. It's not unlike Prince Adam transforming into He-Man. The other problem is that unlike the sword of power, the sword of protection has one weakness, and it's the crystal. So kind of think of like Sword of Omens. The crystal is there to basically give the sword its power. If the crystal is broken, which it can be broken, it has been proven to be broken in the past, Shira cannot transform, and it's inferred that should it be broken in battle, Shira will revert back to Adora. But whether you can do that is another story entirely, because Shira is the Princess of Power, the leader of the rebellion, freer of Etheria, sister to He-Man, and it's just pretty OP. Yeah, she's OP. Oh, yeah, I forgot the best part. She can heal virtually anything. Like she can heal wounds of just about anybody, though it's not stated she can heal herself. There's no reason to think she can't, and she can even heal mortal wounds. So if you're near death, she can technically heal you, though it's not because of the source material. It's not inferred whether she can like heal limbs or anything. So keep that in mind. Moving on to Wonder Woman. Haven't we been here before? I swear we have. Okay, for those of you who somehow don't know, in the world today there is an island known as Themyscira. This is the island of the Amazons. The Amazons were beings created by the gods and charged with maintaining the peace of the world. And they were trained to fight a great upcoming war. But as time went on and the gods, well, or the gods, it's a long story, they became more and more isolated, so much so that they didn't realize how much the world was advancing around them. So when a World War I, World War II, modern day war hero, whatever timeline or continuity you're in, when a certain warrior named Steve Trevor crash landed on their island, things kind of got kickstarted into what needed to happen. The Queen, Hippolyta, ordered a tournament and demanded that a champion be chosen to go and see the world of man and try and save it from itself. The winner was, to her surprise, her daughter, Diana, also known as Diana Prince. And because of this, she was donned with special weapons, armor, and abilities, both by the Amazons and by the gods, to become one of the saviors of the world. She became Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, without a doubt, is one of the most important, special, powerful, awesome, epic, intelligent, magnificent, yes, beautiful heroes of all time. I mean, there's a reason she's in the trinity of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, all right? And it's not like 1, 2, 3. It's one. All of them together. All right. She is the longest reigning, if you really want to be counting it, she's the longest reigning female superhero basically in existence. All right. She has been around for countless decades, been focused of many series, special comics, mini series, crossover events, and blah 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 blah. TV shows, movies, waiting for Wonder Woman 1984, stupid coronavirus, video games, etc., etc., etc. Whatever you think she could have done in terms of media and her popularity, she's done it because she's freaking Wonder Woman. Now, in terms of her abilities, her natural Amazon physique allows her to have increased strength, speed, durability. She was trained all her life to be a warrior. But the catch here is that she's not just human. Technically, in the original continuity, she was carved from clay and breathed life in by Hippolyta, technically the gods. Later on, she became a definitive demigod, daughter of Zeus. And then she was later blessed with the powers of Hermes, Zeus, Athena. She was trained by Artemis, the night hunter, goddess of the moon, and so on and so forth. So she became literally the embodiment of the peak of human and god physiology and abilities. And that shows in not just her skills as a warrior, but the weapons that she wields. Obviously, she's got her bracelets of submission, which allow her to block just about anything that is fired at her. I'll get to that more in a minute. She can use these gauntlets, which are made by Hephaestus, the god of the forge, to summon weapons like Zeus's Aegis sword, which you might recall from Wonder Woman Thor, which has the ability to slice through atoms. Slice through atoms! Alright, and in one case, it actually created a nuclear explosion by slicing said atom right with Superman nearby. Because, why not? I love you. Of course you do. Kids. Anyway, so that's just one of her weapons. Her gauntlets can even summon shields, which you might recall from the Thor death battle, as well as certain movies and cartoons. She has her lasso of truth, which I learned a new ability of today. Wait for it. It not only can compel someone to tell the truth, it actually can apparently nullify powers that are not natural to the user. Now, note the wording there, not natural to the user. So, for example, if she tried to nullify Superman's powers, technically that wouldn't work and would be a really bad cop-out for a way to subdue him, I'm just saying. But because it is his natural physiology, It's just he's absorbing sunlight and it's reacting a certain way. So that's not natural. Now you could make the argument that because the Speed Force is not natural to Barry Allen, that could work, but it's a complicated thing. Oh, it also can purify DNA because why shouldn't it? And then her Aegis shield is nearly indestructible as well, despite what the Thor Death Battle showed. And she can fly. She has the invisible jet because of course she does. And yeah, if we're being honest, the gear honestly isn't the most important thing about Diana. It's the fact that she is literally the best warrior in the world. Superman's admitted it. Batman's admitted it. Her foes have admitted it. She uses her incredible combat techniques to keep up with and beat Superman and Aquaman. She's defeated new gods. She's defeated the gods of Olympus and technically Norse mythology as well. She has fought in Valhalla for 1,000 years. She was 2,000 years old before that even happened. So she's over 3,000 years old. She has tackled and fought Darkseid. She's blocked the Omega beams with her gauntlets not once, but twice. And if you recall, those things move faster than light and are supposed to basically incinerate you or send you to a parallel dimension where you die more and more horrible, horrible deaths. Comics! So yeah, she has done an incredible lot in her time. She has fought Superman, as mentioned, multiple times, including one time where he was controlled by Maxwell Lord, in which they were flying to the sun and back in just under like a couple minutes, and she was keeping up with him the whole time. She was tanking his eye beams to the face and noting that it hurt. She said it hurt, but she was surviving when usually that should melt someone's skull, as we saw with Goku. She has fought, manhandled, and destroyed Doomsday. She once, actually twice, fought Super Doom, which was Superman infused with Doomsday DNA because it's comics, and of course that had to happen. She has technically, she's stated to be almost as fast as the Flash, and if you recall, Flash is stupid fast. And in fact, one time she was so fast she was able to send her lasso into the Speed Force to retrieve Jesse Quick after she was going after another person who had gotten the Scroll of Hermes, which made them fast enough to go into the Speed Force. So just sending the lasso into the Speed Force is quite a feat. And then, of course, there's the Shattered God feat, which you might remember again from Thor: Wonder Woman, where a god of the past was scattered all across the universe and was trying to resurrect himself. And the only way he could do that was by bringing all of his pieces together. So he tried to summon it from all across the universe at majorly faster than light speed. And Wonder Woman not just blocked it, she blocked every single one of them. And even Zeus, her father, was saying, our hope is in you. We can't do this, but you can't. So the god who helped kill the Shattered God in the first place was now relying on his daughter and only her to save the universe, and she did it. In fact, she was moving so fast you could see after images of her as she was blocking, again, millions and millions and trillions of pieces of the Shattered God, and thus she defeated him. And then if that wasn't enough, if you also recall the Thor Wonder Woman death battle, she went up against Professor Zoom, who was going so fast that he was going through space and time, and yet she caught him with her lasso while she was blind. In terms of strength, she has pulled the moon. She has pulled the Earth alongside Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern, and Superman, depending on the case. Again, she has shattered Doomsday with a single punch. She has gone toe-to-toe with Superman, the New Gods, Aquaman. She shattered Green Lantern's constructs, which are literal embodiments of his will. And her durability is that she can tank a nuclear explosion without blinking. She can survive an artificial black hole, which I actually watched. I'm like, how is that possible? And so on and so forth. Wonder Woman is, without a doubt, one of the most amazing heroes ever created. We are honored to have her, and the fact that she's in her third death battle with a third different opponent shows once again why certain characters are just so beloved that they want to see her go up against everybody. So, yeah. So, who wins in a fight between Shira and Wonder Woman? Now, again, I I have a feeling I'm missing something because again, it really boils down to the comics, because the main source material has to be the cartoons. That is undisputed. All right, because that is where Shira was born. She was not a comic creation first, just like Sonic was not a comic creation first. He was a video game character turned to a cartoon. Well, Shira was born in the cartoon, so that has to be her main source of power. And the comics are a bit insane. All right, it's stated in one comic apparently that He-Man broke a sphere that contained a multiverse. Yeah, we're not buying that. And then there's all the Masters of the Multiverse miniseries that was going on, and apparently, a lot of shenanigans are going on there. But I don't think you can count that. I mean, if you did, then sure, there's no way that Wonder Woman is stronger than a multiverse. But I don't know. That just rings hollow for me. So what does based on what I'm seeing, I think this is a clear win for Wonder Woman for a few reasons. Number one, as great as Shira is, and this is actually something that was brought up in the He-Man death battle, he's not, she is not that experienced. All right, she was in her 20s when she got the sort of protection, and even if you say like their whole series was a couple years, that's only a couple years of Shira, and she's not Shira all the time. All right. Wonder Woman was trained since birth to be the greatest warrior ever, both in terms of just her Amazon kind and one of the greatest warriors on Earth. All right. And this is before she had her powers of the gods. So she was trained by the Amazons, the best warriors in the world, frequently, every day for decades, hundreds of years, millennia, depending on how you look at it. All right. And then she went to the real world, or the world of man, and fought, supervillains, gods, invading armies and whatever. She clearly outclasses Shira in that respect. Her experience dwarfs her by like 1,000 to 1, without a doubt. In terms of strength, that's where it gets a little tricky because, again, Shira kicked a moon. That's not to be ignored. Wonder Woman pulled a third of a planet because, again, she was with Martian Manhunter and Superman. So stating that they are as equal, that is 2.2 quintillion tons that she's moving. The moon is not that. You could infer that because the moon flew so fast that she was imparting a lot more force than it took to move the moon out of orbit, but that's a little bit of a stretch. So Wonder Woman, in my opinion, most definitely has the strength advantage based on what I found. Speed, absolutely Wonder Woman. All right, Shira can block lasers, and that's impressive. That's light speed. Wonder Woman blocked the Shattered God. All right, that's beyond light speed. All right, it's even stated like thousands of times past light speed, and then that's not including the zoom feat where she caught him while blind and him moving through space and time. Again, wrap your noggin around that one, right, Wiz? So speed wise, she has it. In terms of fighting skill, that's a little bit trickier because I honestly don't know how you equate it with the transformation, because we all know He-Man can fight, but he's very much a blunt object. He's not exactly one who strategizes a lot in battle. They even noted in the He-Man death battle that he prefers not to fight and thus doesn't have a lot of experience. So Shira, even though she's fighting more of an active rebellion, you could argue that same thing. Plus, Diana again has been trained by the Amazons. She was the one who trained Superman, and she's widely revered as the best fighter in the world. While she is definitely the most powerful fighter on her world, does that make her the best fighter by skill? That's a little bit tricky. So Diana, in my opinion, also takes that one. The real question here is durability. Now, the Thor death battle was controversial because in the comics at the time, and they referenced this in the battle, he has an axe called Jarjaborn, which was literally imbued to kill Celestial, which is a god, so that would have totally killed Wonder Woman. But the question was, would it even be used, because they were using classic Thor? And that's what they stated in the death battle cast, was that you think of Thor as Mjolnir, not Jarjaborn. And you could also argue that because of her greater speed feats and reaction feats, Jar Jar wouldn't even touch her. So Shira obviously has a sword. She has the sword of protection, and obviously it's a bladed weapon. But just because you have a bladed weapon doesn't mean you can kill someone who is weak to piercing weapons. Again, Wonder Woman has fought beings who have piercing weapons, and just weapons that should just kill her outright, like the Omega beams. and yet she has blocked them, deflected them, parried them, and out-quick them so that she can't die, or that she doesn't get killed anyway. And not unlike Shira, Wonder Woman has a healing factor too. So even if you do stab her, she's gonna heal pretty quickly. And if you unlock her cuffs, she gets a superpowered mode. Kind of seems pretty clear cut, doesn't it? So while I do think Shira is gonna put up an interesting fight, I just don't know if it's enough. And here's the biggest one, and I hinted at it earlier. There's two things actually. Remember the gem in the Sword of Protection, the one that can be broken. Wonder Woman has a sword that slices atoms. You want to tell me that thing can't break a crystal? And then, as I noted with the Lasso of Truth, it has the ability apparently to nullify non-natural powers. The sword is not natural to Adora. So doesn't that mean that she could technically nullify her abilities? It's a little vague, and it's definitely one of the cross-dimensional what-if questions, like Wonder Woman lifting Mjolnir. So technically, we probably can't rely on that. But in terms of the crystal breaking, I think she could do that. And if it does make it so that Adora gets depowered, suddenly Wonder Woman's fighting a child. Okay, technically she's 20 years old, but yes, she's fighting someone much less powerful. So yeah. So with the caveat that I don't know if the comics are going to be considered canon, I don't think they will be, but if they are, that might change the battle. But based on everything I have read, based on everything I know about Wonder Woman and her abilities compared to Shira's, Wonder Woman takes this. I just feel it. So I am picking Wonder Woman. Here's helping. I'm doing good this season. I'm trying not to have another great Estet situation, but you never know. So with that, I'm in this episode of Todd Talk. Who do you think is going to win between Shira and Wonder Woman? If you haven't gone to the Death Battle Twitter yet, they've shown off a few stills and GIFs of the battle. It will be 3D. It's going to be a little more stylized than Thor Wonder Woman, which is fine. The Wonder Woman voice actress from last time is returning, and a new voice for Shira. So, because Shira's never been in here. Yeah. So go check that out, and let me know who you think is going to win in the comments below. So I thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I know you were listening, and I'll see you around.